Want to hear 25 remote work experts share their amazing strategies and processes for building successful remote work companies and remote team? We've got speakers from leading companies like Thinkific, Evergreen Profits, Dynamite Circle, and Tribe Theory, and more. Register for your free ticket now at www.remotebusinesssummit.com.
That's right, www.remotebusinesssummit.com. We'll see you there, November 18 to 22.
Woohoo! Welcome to Founders Connect podcast. We help lifestyle entrepreneurs to grow their business online and create a happier marriage.
Did you know that approximately 45% of marriages end up in divorce and 65% of all startups fail due to founder conflicts? Well, we're here to change that.
Each week we bring you an inspiring guest and practical tips to help you with business, relationships, and sustainable living. Now let the fun begin! Hi, I'm Cindy Pham.
And I'm Anthony Chansamuth.
And we're from Founders Connect.
I am joined today by Gregory Elfrink. Is that right, Greg?
Yeah, that's correct. It's a magical creature in hockey rink.
I love that. So Gregory joined EmpireFlippers.com in April 2016 as the content manager. He's now the marketing director. He manages the flow of content surrounding the brand. There are blog posts, there are guides, there are epic podcast episodes, everything from producing content to promoting it. The goal of the work is to grow the reach of the company and introduce new audiences to Empire Flippers. Now, are you okay if I just call you Greg?
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm going to trip up every time I do it. You were born in Anchorage in Alaska.
Yeah.
Where you work in oil fields. Okay, there's some good stories coming up. And you now travel to Southeast Asia and you're living in Vietnam. You've been there for the past 4 years, as you've just mentioned to me. You love fiction, science, and in your free time, you moonlight as a novelist, which I didn't know. So that's really cool. Okay, welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thank you. You got to add me on Facebook if you didn't know I was a novelist. I publish all my bad poetry on there.
Totally. Okay, well, I'm not going to share your mind, but yes, I love it. So tell us a bit about your Empire Flippers. Okay, so a bit about the business and why it was created, and maybe how it created, and then how you sort of joined the team.
Yeah, so it's a pretty long story. I'll try to condense it. But we basically started off as an outsourcing company in the Philippines, and we had one major client. And as we tell any service business that we work with today, that is a huge critical failure. That client ended up not firing us, but just stopped paying us, no matter what we tried to do, even with a contract in place and all that stuff. And so we had this team in the Philippines, and we didn't have what are we going to do? We didn't want to lose them. So we heard about building these niche sites, AdSense sites specifically. They started building out AdSense sites. Some of them were making $50, $100 a month. Eventually we started selling them for about 20x of what they were making. Back then that was crazy to us. Now it seems so small. But fast forward a few years and we had built up this whole audience and people had been coming to us saying hey, would you sell my site for me? You have this audience already, and I don't know what I'm doing, and I'll pay you a commission fee for it. And that was really the start of the brokerage. When we rebranded everything from our AdSense Flippers days, where we're basically just a niche site blog, to Empire Flippers, where we became a full-on brokerage. Now, a few years later, we have been on the Inc. 5000 list 4 years in a row, helping people buy and sell online businesses that make actual money. And we have the largest curated marketplace in the world for profitable businesses. So that's our story in a nutshell. And what we really try to focus on is one, being transparent as much as we can possibly be, because as I'm sure you know, this industry, internet marketing, is often full of smoke and mirrors, people saying amazing things on the ad, and then behind the ad, there's not so many amazing things happening often. So we try to be very honest upfront, both when it helps us and when it hurts us. And ultimately, I think either way, it helps us because people want to listen to someone who's telling the truth, right? So that's what we do. We try to make it as simple as possible for people to buy these online assets or sell an online asset.
That's really cool. And so what were you doing before Empire Flippers?
Yeah, you kind of hinted at it earlier. I was an oil field roughneck in the Arctic Circle of Alaska.
I'm from Australia, so I have no idea what that even looks like. So what do you do a day out on the oil fields?
Yeah, it could be pretty dynamic or it could be extremely boring. I had a directional driller who told me once that they were like pretty high up on the rig. And I was just, throwing mud, which is slang for drilling fluid. But he told me, no, the oil field is long periods of boredom punctuated by sheer moments of absolute terror. That's pretty correct. So there's days where like I'm literally watching paint dry for like 10, 12 hours. You work in 12 to 18 hour shifts, right? And then there were days when there's like, oil is on fire right now. And if that gets out of control, there's going to be 60 wells that blow up and kill everyone on this island. So they could go from like 0 intensity to 11 real quick. But most of the time, what I was doing is just throwing mud, which are these chemical sacks you're mixing into a pit. I would have like my Darth Vader mask on, my respirator, all that stuff, and big rubber gloves and rubber apron as I'm stirring all this fluid and mixing it up and then sending it through various pumps. And towards the end, I was running the hydraulic pump, this PO pump, which is ironic because it was an extremely complex pump and I knew nothing about pumps, right? I'm like the worst mechanical person in the world. I somehow talked myself into this position. And the best thing about that pump was it broke often. And every time it broke, we would pull out the handbook, how to fix this thing. Every hour it was down. So it's like the rig was like right here and the pump was underneath the rig.
Yeah.
The pump would actually be what was pumping away all the earth. So without the pump, the rig couldn't drill. So every hour was a ton of money lost for the company, right? And the handbook, I always thought it was just so ironic. This incredible, important machinery, the handbook on how to fix it is all in Austrian. I'm in like a man-made island 6 miles off the north coast of Alaska. Not a single Austrian on this island. like who thinks to make this handbook in Austrian? Oh, yeah, that was like examples of some of the fun times of the oil field.
That's crazy. That's remarkable. Good on you for doing that because I don't know if I could actually do that.
I wouldn't recommend it.
So then, this, in some way leads to the question I want to ask you now, which is what's been a courageous decision that you've made in your career?
I would say coming on board with Empire Flippers, to be honest. I wanted to be in this industry for a long time. I was one of those guys who's buying courses left and right. Absolutely hated my job in the oil field, right? And I applied to a bunch of different marketing agencies in Alaska. I never went to college, barely passed high school. Not that I'm dumb. I'm a relatively smart person. I could talk circles around almost anyone when it comes to Victorian literature, right? Which is a very weird thing to know a lot about. But yeah, none of those agencies would ever give me a chance. Nothing ever took off for me. And I was just kind of stuck in the field and oil field. And I saw this job opportunity to become an apprentice with EF a few years back and threw my hat into the ring, expecting just like all the other agencies I ever applied for that I would just not even get a response. And sure enough, they hired me. And it was like a dream come true in a lot of ways. But at the same time, I almost didn't accept it because I thought, at the time I was working in town and not in the field anymore. I was still like working 12 to 14 hour days, but at least I was in an office now. I was getting paid the least I've ever been paid in the oil field as well. Because like when you go to the office, you take a big pay cut. And I just thought, this is the first time I've ever had a super cushy gig in the oil field. When if I leave this and go and pursue this dream of mine of getting into marketing and I'm just a complete failure? Like, what am I going to do? I'm going to be back on the rig, right?
Yeah.
So that was a big decision on my part. Luckily, one of my best friends, he was living in China at the time, still is actually, and he told me he would fly back to Alaska and break my leg if I did take the job because he knew how depressed I was and how much I really wanted something like this. And so that was something that took a lot of courage, I felt, on my part to make that jump. And I'm very glad I did. My life has changed dramatically for the better since.
That's really amazing. So was a requirement of the job to move out of Alaska, or was that something of your own decision making?
Yeah. So at the time when I came on board, or the way our hiring worked was when you got the job, you'd come out and work for, live wherever your manager is. And, at the time we were like a 5-person company. I was employee number 5, I think. Like the guy who got hired with me, we were 5 and 6, or maybe it was 4 and 5, I forget which. But we weren't very big, right? So my superior, my manager was Justin Cook, our co-founder, CMO. He was living in Vietnam at the time, so he brought me out here for that job. I still remember that conversation with my old oil boss, the guy, the cushiest oil job I had. I told him I was quitting, and he was like, "Oh, thank God, because oil is in the tank right now. I might have to lay off people, and maybe this will save a job, right?" So, what are you doing? I told him going to marketing. He's like, "Oh, good, you've always wanted to do that." This guy was like the nicest boss I've ever had in an oil field, which is extremely rare, as you might imagine. He was like, "So where at?" I was like, "Oh, I'm going to Vietnam." He's like, "Greg, I don't want to stomp on your dreams or anything, but are you sure this is a real thing?" So they brought me out to Vietnam for the first few months, and we're a 100% remote team. Now we have close to 60 people on the team, and we just work from all around the world. I personally fell in love with Southeast Asia. I think it's a great area of the world, so I stay for the most part. I still travel all around, but mainly in Southeast Asia.
You are listening to the Founders Connect podcast, helping lifestyle entrepreneurs to grow their business online and create a happier marriage. Now back to the show.
That's incredible, man. So, well, this probably an easy answer for you then. So what does remote work revolution mean to you?
Yeah, I love the work at home, remote location things. I think it opens up so much opportunities, not just for your professional life, but for your personal life too, right? I get to, as long as my schedule allows it, if I don't have any meetings or anything like that, I can more or less make my own schedule, right? As long as your work is getting done, the deliverables are there. You never have someone overlooking on your shoulders. It would be really difficult for someone to do that in a remote environment, right? So there's always a certain level of trust given to you and autonomy, which I love. And I think that helps you grow both personally and professionally in very big ways. Now, if you're not used to that kind of environment, it can take a while to get used to and really get yourself up to speed. But once you do, I think it's just the best way to work in the world.
And something that you mentioned is that this week you've already started to do some training with some new team members. Are they also there on site with you, or are they somewhere else?
Yeah, so they're out here in Vietnam with me. So I just recently hired 2 content specialists for our marketing team. So I've been going, through all of our company history, industry stuff, big content marketing monologues for me, teaching them the ropes, so to speak. Our industry is a bit difficult when it comes to marketing, just because you need to know quite a bit about the industry before you can really start saying something and find your voice. So a lot of my time is spent teaching them about the industry.
Yeah. Okay. So I assume they're not going to stay in Vietnam. I think, is that right? Or are they actually locally based?
One of the guys, he was actually already out here in Asia. He was working in the Philippines for a bit at a resort. And then he was in Cambodia, just hanging out, doing some freelance work. Yep. When he found our job. So he already is in love with Southeast Asia. It's the first time he's ever been to Vietnam, and so far he's loving it. So I think there's a good chance he'll stay. As far as the other one, he was in the UK, I believe. She's American, but she was in the UK, and she came out here. She'll be here in Asia, I think, till the end of the year, and then we'll be back in the UK or maybe somewhere else in Europe. I'm not quite sure.
Okay, so my question I have for you is around, because you have grown the team significantly from when you were number 5 all the way through to 60 or wherever you're at now. How do you sort of maintain? I'm curious about the onboarding process, and how do you? You start with training, sort of like you did. You fly on, or you go on site with the training manager. You learn, you onboard there, and then when they go back, or if they decide to then go remote, do you have a specific system or something like that to keep in touch with everyone and make sure that the culture is still strong? Because I can see some concerns people have with remote work is that, if people are all over the place, how do you ensure that there is a culture that's being developed, and how do you maintain that culture?
Yeah, this is honestly, I don't think being remote makes that more difficult than if you're in an office. Sure, you can't go down the hallway, knock on their door or something. But if you look at a typical office setting where everyone just say they have their private office, private cubicle, right? It's not like you're seeing them for 8 hours a day. You're seeing them when you need to see them. So you have meetings, you have all that stuff. All that is still happening in a remote environment. One thing that I do, and this is something I've learned from other much more skilled managers than me, because this is my first role ever as a manager, right? So I had a lot of learning to do once I got promoted, and I'm still learning. But one thing I do that really helps to keep that relationship alive and keep them in the culture, both work and professionally, and also just like gives them some personal fulfillment, at least I hope, is doing what I call one-on-one. So basically once per week, I meet with everyone that is my direct. Right now, there's no supervisors underneath me running other people, but if they had supervisors, or if my supervisors did have people working for them as directs, then they would do this as well. So basically what it is, it can last between 25 minutes to an hour. Typically mine are about 35 minutes, unless we're talking about some kind of plan or project. But the first half of that is basically that person's time to say anything they want. It could be about their dog, it could be about work, whatever, a new craft beer they tried or something, And then the second half is yours as the manager to say what you need to say. And the ending, the last 5-10 minutes is talking about the future, like how well are they doing? Like where do you want to go? What skills do you want to learn? What do you want to do? All that kind of vision building stuff. And that way it's basically like a quarterly review every week, and they always know where they are, how they're doing. There's no surprises, at least no bad surprises. They'll never be written up and not expecting that to happen. I might keep a raise as a surprise for something like that. Like check it out. But they always know how they're doing. And that first section where you allow them to talk, you just listen to them, really builds that relationship and builds that trust that they can, speak to you about whatever it is that you talk about, whether it's good or bad.
So you're more sort of err on the side of coaching rather than performance management. So it's not like, hey, you've done these things wrong and, I'll ask questions and you provide feedback, but it's more of a casual sort of, yeah. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. One last thing I would add on that with what you said, the performance versus the coaching thing. I'm a bigger fan of coaching. There's a management or leadership quote that I love that says, a real leader will allow you to fail, but never allow you to be a failure. And I truly believe in that. So we give our people a lot of autonomy. Yeah, they might mess up, they might make mistakes, but we can fix those, right? We can overcome all of that. And the other thing, I like to be friends with my people. So when they do mess up, they feel guilty about it, right? Like I failed my friend, Yeah. That to me is a much better style of management than yelling like, "Where is the papers? Where's the TPS reports?" Yeah. All that kind of stuff.
I'm with you. I'm sure it's pretty different to what it was on the oil. Maybe it was the same on the oil fields. I'm not sure, but
there was no guilt. There's just all pure shame and humiliation.
There you go. Different styles.
Very different style.
All right, we're going to just wrap up this one because I wanted to talk about the Remote Business Summit, and you're going to be one of the teachers on there. What topic are you going to be teaching us on the summit?
Yeah, so I'll be going over all the different popular online business models. There's 3 main ones that are fantastic, whether you want to buy and get a little bit of a head start, or if you want to bootstrap, all 3 of them are possibilities.
Wicked. And then why do you think it's important to learn about online business models now?
I think it's important because the internet is here to stay. It's the future. And if you really want to design a lifestyle of freedom, of your own choice, I don't think there's a better vehicle out there than the internet. Learning it should be business 101 for most people at this point.
I love it. And you're going to be giving away a prize for one lucky winner who actually attends your talk live. So they've got to attend it live. They're going to listen and they're going to learn all about these different business models, going to get some insight into what you're all about and how you help people. And you're going to give a cool prize for one lucky person. What's that going to be, Greg?
Yeah. So you and I were talking about this offline. We were talking about doing the buyer criteria discovery call, but maybe we can also offer if that one person watching me wins, if they're doing any kind of content marketing, I would be more than happy to look at what they're doing and let them know what they could do better in terms of my opinion, and help them to possibly build that business a little bit better so they can sell it for a better exit down the road.
That is priceless. Like I know how much value comes from just getting an experienced content marketer to look at your stuff. So that's really epic. I really appreciate that. And okay, so for you guys listening, that summit is coming up November 18 to 22. Greg will be on there along with 25 other remote business experts, remote work experts, and people who know all about what it's like to be in this world and what's coming for our future. And the funny thing is, it's already here. So make sure you go and register for your free ticket at remotebusinesssummit.com. And then we will be sharing all these goodies with you real soon. Thanks for joining us today, Greg. And we will see you on the summit.
Thanks for tuning in. And remember to live passionately,
purposefully,
and confidently. Till next time.